Hello, my friends. Pastor Mark back again. Today is our fifth and final Bible story about Epiphany, revealing who baby Jesus really became, the Messiah, Jesus, God on earth. You remember last week we talked about how Jesus threw a demon right out of a man in the synagogue in Nazareth. Jesus and his disciples are traveling around all the little towns by the Sea of Galilee, and he's telling people how to be close friends with God, what God expects of us. Well, he returned to Capernaum. Remember a few weeks ago we talked about Capernaum? He had lived there for a while, and he also called disciples from there, right on the Sea of Galilee. They were James and John, Andrew and Peter. Well, now he's back in Capernaum, and he and the disciples go to Peter's house. Now, Peter just didn't live with his wife. There was an extended family. We don't know exactly how many people, but there were a number of them. And he went into Peter's house. Now, see these ruins in this picture? We believe that is what's left of Peter's house. Remember, this is 2,000 years ago. All this took place. And this modern building you see on top, well, that is a church that was built over Peter's house. And it's dedicated to Peter, whom we call Saint Peter. Well, Jesus and his disciples come back from going to all these different little towns all around the Sea of Galilee, and they come into Peter's house. And they get bad news. What's the bad news? Peter's mother-in-law is very, very ill. She's got a fever. Now, what would you do if you had a fever? I know mommy would probably give you some medicine. Possibly dad would give you some medicine. Maybe grandma or some family member. And you'd go to sleep and eat chicken soup. And usually you get better. Now, if a fever kept persisting, the folks might bring you to an emergency room, or at least the doctor. And the doctor would give us good medicine. Medicine wasn't quite as freely available back in Jesus' time. Fevers can kill us today, but they were more likely to in Jesus' day. And so a fever was a scary thing. People really didn't know if they would survive a fever. And Peter's mother-in-law, that's his wife's mother, was very ill with a fever. Well, of course, the whole household is kind of frightened. You know what Jesus did? Jesus walked right into the mother-in-law's bedroom, and he put his hands on her forehead, probably grabbed her hand also, and he commanded the fever to come out of her. He commanded that her body would become well. And instantly, she was cured. Her illness was gone, and she rose up out of her sick bed. That is incredible. I know I've had fevers, and even after my fever goes away, it takes me a day before I really feel like getting up and getting back to work. While Jesus could cure so well that Peter's mother-in-law, when her fever left, she got right up. She had wellness. She had energy. Guess what she did? You have any idea what she might have done? I'll show you. She cooked a big dinner for Jesus and for all the disciples. Peter's mother-in-law was cured, and so she felt gratitude. She was very grateful that Jesus did it. And so she wanted to do something for Jesus. Have you had some bad days and Jesus got you through? I bet you feel some gratitude. I think personally it's a good idea to feel gratitude each and every day because guess what? We're alive. And most of us listening to this are not living in places where bombs are dropping and there's fighting. No, most of us listening to this live pretty well. That's a blessing from Jesus. And so what do we do in return? We show gratitude by giving something special for Jesus. Now, of course, Jesus isn't standing right next to us. He's not sitting in the next room. Physically, he's not with us. So how do we show gratitude to Jesus? Whenever a friend is down, is depressed, are we there to help that friend? Whenever we see someone in poverty, do we help them have a better life? Are we kind to everyone we meet? Or are we nasty to other people? When we show kindness to others, we're saying, thank you, Jesus, for the life we have. That's the way we show gratitude, is by caring for other people. Remember, Jesus, who we celebrated on Christmas, rose up to be the Messiah of the world. He's done a lot for us. Let's show gratitude and do for him. Again, this is Pastor Mark of Clinton Avenue Reformed Church in Bergenfield. This is our final Epiphany Bible story. Next week, we'll be talking about Lent. What's Lent? That's a time. That's a time of preparing our hearts for the celebration of Jesus' resurrection. But we'll talk more about that next week. Until then, thank you for listening. Please invite your friends to join next time. God bless you from Pastor Mark, Clinton Avenue Reformed Church, Bergenfield, New Jersey.